to the sports show with Bob Spino, where late season NBA, early season MLB is upon us, Bob. Any thoughts about those two sports?
Uh, yeah, I'm a Celtic fan, so yeah. We're the best team. I've been waiting for this. Danny Ainge never finished the job. Once Stevens got into the front office, we got Porzingis from the Knicks. We got Luke Cornett, two of our starting center and our backup, and both of them are playing out of their minds. We are so stacked that Brown and Tatum can get hurt, God forbid, and we could still make a serious run to win it. We just got so many players that can beat you. It's almost like UConn times 10 in the pros. The Celtics are UConn. UConn is the Celtics. We are so freaking deep. And um they're just I mean, there's nights when the guys actually sit out and we still kill teams. We've beaten Golden State by 50. We've beaten the Nets by 52. Everybody beats the Nets by 52. But we did. And we're taking no prisoners. We ain't messing around. This is the most 30-point wins we've had since 1986 or something like that. Like we're blowing teams out, really. And I love every minute because if anybody doesn't know on this show, I am a Boston Celtics fan. I love them.
Now,
They're
now,
like the
Bob.
girlfriend that never lets me down.
Now, Bob, as you talk about the Celtics dominance, you mentioned this name Yukon. What is this Yukon you speak of? I'm not familiar with that.
It's an evil place and an evil world, and they're just getting a little close to the great UCLA Bruins. It's scaring me a little bit. They came out of hell. We're going to send them back there, I'm sure. Um, they did win. They were the best team, and it's scary. And we need to stop that immediately, maybe sooner. But they did what we said. I know that you picked Purdue. I know you did not think Purdue. You wanted Purdue, and we that's fine because privately I was rooting for Purdue. Were they going to win? No. Did I think they were going to win? No. Um, for what it was worth, honestly, for what it was worth, St. John's, who I saw in the Big East tournament at the game, I was there, played them the best, even more than any team in the tournament, the big tournament. They had that game was a 2-point game at the end of the game. And that Spencer, he just had every answer. And he did it again last night. Did he score a ton of points? No. But was he there in the big moment? Yes. Was he scrapping and getting rebounds he shouldn't have got with five other, Purdue guys standing around him, including Edie? Yes. Was he making clutch shots whenever he had to? Yes. Did he hit a three in Edie's face? Yes. I mean, he didn't get the MVP, but he was my personal MVP. Newton got the MVP, but he's just amazing. And I am not particularly a UConn fan, so I'm glad he's leaving, as most of them are. I don't want them to win another title. Two's enough, maybe even too many. But I noticed that again, they were talking about their offense. And I understand they play great. See, they do what I used to tell you, Rob, because we've played basketball together before. And I would always tell you, you don't got to play defense the whole game. You play it in the most important moments when the game's on the line. And that's what they did. That's why they stopped Bam in the second half. That's why they held Purdue down. Purdue was actually playing them pretty well at the end of the first half, except for one thing. They stopped scoring. And what you said, they got to play better. They didn't than against NC State. They scored 63 points against NC State. They only scored 60 last night. They just stopped scoring. They were moving around like they were playing good and staying with them. And Edie was playing good, but they couldn't score. If you're not going to score, UConn's going to beat you. And, I mean, even when you do score, they could beat you and probably would. But they just didn't have enough of an offense. That coupled with the situational defense that UConn played, which is supposed to play at times during the game, not the whole game. And then the rest, you play offense the whole game. That's what you do. You play offense the whole game. And it changed everything, Rob. That's what did it.
Well, Bob, reluctantly, I suppose I'll comment on the events that transpired last night.
Right.
And that being said, I thought, I heard a lot of commentary after the game or during the game that Purdue fell into UConn's trap. Okay, Edie
Mhm.
getting all the attention, he gets worn down over time on defense, and eventually UConn's overwhelming. I don't even want to use the word UConn being better all around in the other areas, the other positions, and the other areas of the game would eventually take over.
Right.
And I thought, okay, what else was Purdue supposed to do? I don't think there was any trap. I think it was okay. This is Purdue's, move. This is what they do. This is their only chance.
Right.
And like you said, early on, it was working nicely. They
Right.
couldn't do anything. It was hook after hook after hook after hook. And then, I do think Edie did get fatigued. I think that did play a factor. But then it kind of becomes a mental game. Next thing you know, he missed like six in a row. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, he stopped being the focal point every time down the court, which was a mistake. Just because he was missed a bunch doesn't mean you
You got to
go
keep
away from your
going.
bread and butter.
Right. You got to, especially because the rest of the team is playing so lousy. You're totally
There's
right.
nothing. There's nothing the other guys are going to do.
Right.
You got to you got to just find a way to get that gear turning again, and they didn't do that.
Right.
And and another thing, it was freakish. It seemed like to me, Bob, UConn got all the 50-50 balls. Just every loose ball seemed
That's
UConn would get
it.
it. It was uncanny to watch. And
Yeah, I know it. There was a
Purdue
couple.
had,
There was a couple times where the ball bounced around like a pinball and went right to them. Just landed right in their hands.
I mean, Purdue had such a small margin of error to begin with, and you just saw every time they turned it over or didn't score, UConn capitalized on it, like almost every time.
And you're right. And you know what? Like the one time the ball got, Purdue should have had the rebound off the missed shot. And it bounced around like three hands. And all of a sudden it kicked out. I want to say it was to Newton, who went a long three. He just went boom. And that thing went and made the net flip. I mean, it was a great shot. And he hit it. But it was just, when stuff like that happens in a game, that's when I know it ain't your night to win. And whoever gets those kind of breaks, and I mean, you could say UConn made breaks, but sometimes even a good team can't make a break. Things just fall in your hands sometimes. And it was happening last night. When they weren't making their breaks, they were getting them. So yeah, and you're totally right. And Purdue, they're outside of Edie, they had no firepower. See, you've got to score. It's about all. Say whatever you want. And I wish everybody would watch this because everybody's so defense gun ho. I'm not. I think it's important. I think it's got to be played at the right times, but I don't think it's how you win titles. At the end of it, you still got to score. And Purdue couldn't do that, even without the good defense Connecticut had. They didn't do it against NC State. 63 points is not a lot. They're just lucky NC State's just, an 11 seed, not a one seed. They might have lost that game if they were a one seed, especially the way NC State was going. So it could have happened. That's just the way of things. It's just the way it is, you know?
Yeah, the only prayer you have against UConn is efficiency.
Yeah,
And I was hoping that Purdue could tap into their inner Purdue against Gonzaga-ness
yeah.
and play really efficient and not turn the ball over and not have empty possessions and make the threes when they became available. But they were just, yeah, again, you can't it's a team game, and one star when the other players have such a deficit in comparison to the other team's players is not going to make the difference. And I think over time, I mean, I think Klingon did wear him down. His second half, Edie did not. He didn't make a difference really. And by the time he got a bunch of points at the end, but it didn't matter. They had
Right.
they
It
had,
was after
they
the
had pulled
fact. It
away,
was
and it
after
just
the fact.
seemed like what was it, halftime? It was 6 points, Bob, and then
You never got the feeling, though.
you never got the feel that you weren't surprised at all when it got up to 11-12, and it just
Right.
once it hit 11-12, you knew this is over, it's done.
Well, late in the first half, I kind of knew because they were playing. You would if you were watching them, just quickly, you'd be go, oh, they're playing pretty good, but they were stuck on 30 points for the longest time. They couldn't get 32. And
You
I'm just
couldn't
sitting
get
there
the
going,
lead.
or get the lead. And that's the other thing. They couldn't get over the hump. So I'm just sitting there going, they ain't gonna do it. And that's exactly what happened with St. John's. Like the thing about St. John's is they could score, but every time they got close, Connecticut had a different answer. They couldn't get over that hump. They couldn't get that lead. Connecticut never allowed you to get a lead. That's what a great team does. When you get close, they just stop you cold. I will say this, though. I was pretty mad at Hurley last night for complaining like a baby when he wasn't getting those calls in the first half. After everything he got in the previous game, all the calls he got, he knows how to work refs because he bitched like a fuck. You know what? If I was Christian Leitner, I would have smacked him just like he used to smack Bobby in practice when they were at Duke. I mean, he was whining. Oh, my guys didn't get the call. Oh, it was terrible. Oh, what are you guys doing? You're fixing. Oh, stop it. And but you know what? Much to his credit, the one thing I learned about that, people say this. They're like, if you complain to a ref a lot, he won't give you calls. That's not true. Because I used to do it when I used to play. That's not true. If I did it honestly, I go, come on, man. Obviously, this is a foul. And it'll put him on the spot. And since everybody's watching the ref, he's got to come clean. Because if he starts calling even worse foul, he's going to look like the game is fixed, and he's going to back off. If you complain enough, he's going to start giving you those calls if you alert him to it. So I agree with that. See, and that's why they don't let in the NBA. You're not even allowed to yell at a ref. You get fined now. They want you to shut up. And to me, I just can't do it. If I was a player, I'd be in the ref's face if he did something like that. I'd be really ticked off. But Hurley was going overboard. He was like, "Oh, look at that! Oh, this we didn't get this call. I'm Hurley. Remember, I'm supposed to win. It says it right here in the contract." It was just driving me nuts. I was really annoyed at him for that. I really
So
was.
I'm personally okay with the rule of having the players not go at the refs.
Uh huh.
Um, I, Again, from my perspective, a referee is part of the court,
Yeah.
and that's just me. I'm not speaking on behalf of all basketball players. Again, I think that should be left to the coaches. Let the coaches berate the refs. Let the coaches get in the refs' face.
Right.
And part of that is I saw Syracuse go over. They overplayed that card. The players on my team this year, every single time with the refs. The refs had got fed up, and they started holding the whistle, and they started blowing the whistle when it was close. So
Mhm.
I agree with you. It does have an effect if done so in with the right approach and the right
Right.
time.
Right.
But it can
And you can't do
backfire
it
if
every
you don't
single
do
game,
so.
but you can't do it every single game. He didn't
Yeah,
do it in
in
the other
every
game,
single play, like Syracuse
but
did.
you can't.
Stop. You got to
Right.
stop.
But
And,
last night in the
and then
first,
amongst the league, the refs get the reputation build. Oh, your team is a bunch of whiners.
yeah. And you know what's good about like he was smart enough to do it in the biggest game. He probably didn't do it in the other games for that reason. He was saving it for the big game. You know what I mean? Yeah, because he wanted to
Well,
win.
it kind of helps when you're winning by double digits, like most of the game in his matchups. I mean, most of the UConn's run was blowouts. I mean,
Yeah,
you
no,
can't really get into
can't get
histrionics
that mad. Which
when they're
yeah, right.
dominating.
And when he saw Purdue close, that's when he started going after the rest. You know what I'm saying? He's like, "Oh, this has got to stop. We got to stop this." So, but yeah, I mean, he's a great coach and they're a good team. I think most of these guys are going to be gone after this year. I believe a lot of them are gone. So I believe. But then again, who
I would
knows?
assume they're either going to get drafted or again, UConn now has the target on their back, Bob, and money bags are going to be there for people that UConn target and people that are on UConn's team. I think that's what's going to happen. If these other programs see that Hurley's going after this player, all right, they're going to throw a couple hundred grand on top of the offer.
Yeah.
Um, it will be a challenge to sustain the talent level. The coaching is going to be there. What do you think about the assistant coach Luke Murray? You think he's going to get a head coaching job?
I was told he's the best coach. I was told he was the best assistant coach in all of college basketball. So yeah, I could. Hey, um, what do you think about Kentucky? Where did that come out of nowhere, huh?
So I got a text message. I didn't dig into it yet. It was kind of last minute. So Calipari is looking at a deal with Arkansas.
He already signed a 5 year.
He signed a 5 year. Do you know the details in terms of signing that deal? What it means? Did Arkansas have to pay Kentucky in a buyout?
No, no, he was. They were free of the buyout and everything because he left on his own. He just decided to, you know, they didn't fire. If they fired him, Kentucky would have had to pay him. So I think Kentucky itself, the school's free because he walked. And I'm surprised they let him walk. But you know what? I'm not at the same time because his day there was almost over. Like Anthony said, he wasn't winning. And Kentucky is like UCLA. We're not going to allow that crap too long before you get axed. And that I'm surprised he would have been fired long ago if Anthony Davis didn't win the 1 year, because that's the only year he won. Calipari, that's the only year he won. And the one thing about him, he's always took off when a team's going to get sanctioned or in trouble. I doubt it this time because now you can pay kids.
Yeah,
In the
everything
old
they were
days,
doing is okay now.
everything's okay. You can
Yeah.
rob the bank. You're fine. That's good. How much you get? You know, but no, he's out. And he's friends with the Tyson chicken guy who owns it. The owner, Mr. Tyson, don't eat their chicken. They're putting the shots in the chicken. You're gonna get sick. Stay away from Tyson Foods. But he's best friends with him. And he's the big booster at Arkansas. So they got him in there, Rob. He gave him the money.
So they're gonna reel in some talent then. If Dyson is behind this NIL stuff, they're gonna have money.
Yeah,
They're gonna have a lot of
yeah,
bags.
absolutely.
And Arkansas was
Arkansas,
pretty tough in the '90s.
one of the kids just left the other day. Did you see it? They're the sixth best or third best prospect in the coming out of college. He only played like he played on the bench because he couldn't break in because they were good. But the minute Calipari left, he went into the portal right after that. He's out. They're going to lose. Kentucky's going to lose a lot. Who do you think is going to take the job?
Well, I was hoping that it was going to be Danny Hurley. I was hoping Kentucky would pull up the Brinks truck and make an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
But I do believe that they did pursue him, but he turned them down. That's going by hearsay. Don't hold me to that as gospel truth. Um,
I think he did turn him down actually. But you know what? Wouldn't you at this point? Why would you leave if you're him? He's got
well, if
everything
they,
going
I don't
on.
know, double the salary, some crazy, insane contract. I mean,
Yeah, but if he keeps winning, they're going to give him money, and he's trying to make him a dynasty, and I think right now he's into that because the family,
he is a
the
New England guy
basketball,
too. I mean, he's in his home area too. I mean,
right?
he seems to be
But
smart enough to realize he's got a really good thing going. Well, why abandon ship?
I got a text message from Tony, and I don't know if he's gonna. I don't even know if he's gonna come on. He's supposed to be. I don't know where he is, but he uh, he texted me the other night that Jeff Dunlap, who was, in the NBA, friends with Jack Haley, friends that played at UCLA. He was a good player at UCLA. His son Brady is the number one prospect or one of the top. He plays on St. John's. And, my brother's texting me, I don't know nothing, but they think Pitino's going to go there. But I personally, so today I called Anthony and I said, is that from JD or is that just their thought on the matter? And he goes, well, it was more like the thought on the matter. I personally don't think Pitino's leaving because he's building something there. He just got there. He is crazy, granted, and he likes to just fly like a bluebird out of nowhere and just go away. But like, I can't see him leaving right now. I personally hope they hire Bruce Pearl or somebody like that because Kentucky will go into the trash bin, which is a beautiful place for them because I don't want them catching UCLA. So that'd be great. I love the trash. I love the trash bin. But and I love it
That's
when
actually
people.
a pretty. I That's a good guess, Bob. I mean, I could see that happening. I could see it happening.
I can too.
As I'm scrolling through my mind of the coaches that could potentially take over this program.
Yeah.
If I'm Kentucky, I would go. I would take a chance to go after Luke Murray. Go after the assistant coach.
Uh, Yeah, I would.
The guy obviously knows how to instill a great offense.
And I
it
think he wants a coaching head position, you know.
so you go if I'm Kentucky, I would hire Luke Murray right now. I would be like,
Mm-hmm.
hand the reins. As much as you like or dislike Kentucky basketball, they are kind of like a Ferrari. You're gonna have all these resources at hand, and you would be starting your head coaching career in college here at the peak. So, but I don't know if they'll do that. And frankly, I'm kind of drawing a blank of who would feasibly go right now. Who's available?
Well,
I mean,
well,
maybe they may. I mean, I just Hail Mary, Mark Few, but Mark Few's not going to leave
Mark's
Gonzaga.
not going to leave
He's
Gonzaga.
not going to leave Gonzaga.
No, he's been offered other jobs in the past and kept turning
Sure.
them down. You know what? Murray is the one that changed their offense. He's like a great offensive coach, they said. He is pro, he's like me, he's pro offense. So they love him in UConn. And since he got there, that's what turned him around. See, and I love that because when I was watching that game a couple nights back, they're like, they had a good defense when they got eliminated a few years ago, UConn, but they realized they need scoring. And apparently Murray came in there and helped that problem out. They have a really good offense. And yeah, I mean, did my brother get back to you by any chance?
No, haven't heard yet. I mean,
I
if he
texted
comes
him
on, he
too.
comes on. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll see
yeah,
what happens.
right. I don't know what he's doing. So, but anyway, but yeah, like, yeah, I just believe that he could be a good pick. I mean, Pearl could go there. There's a couple others that could. They're talking about the Alabama coach. I don't think he's going to go. Oates, is that his name? Otis?
Nate
Oates?
Oates,
Oates, yeah.
because I mean, Alabama has a ton of money too. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
Alabama isn't a pauper, and if they want to
Mm-hmm.
win in basketball, they'll do what they can to keep him because this is that was their first Final Four.
Right, right.
So I don't see I would see them fighting to keep him, and does Nate Oates want to go there again? If you go to Kentucky, you're under that microscope. I mean, they can be pretty brutal. I mean,
Well, that's right.
they basically, I mean, they didn't fire him, but they oversaw the departure of the coach that would bring in a top recruiting class every year, like top five, top three.
You know, it's funny. When I was at the St. John's game against UConn, a guy came up from Marquette that, works for Shaka and started talking to Jeff Dunlap. And he was talking about the Calipari and the millions he's got to bring people in to Kentucky. And I kind of caught half of it because it was so loud in there. But I was listening, and yeah, my brother always told me like they gave him like $1 million every year to get all these people in long before you could pay players. So, he had an expense account to get these people in. And then he turns around and he goes to Arkansas. I love Arkansas now. But but I love the fact Kentucky, if they don't get a good coach, is gonna, like I say, be hurled into the trash compactor, as they say in Star Wars. But yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Mm-hmm.
I,
Do
I think they're it's a little precarious because I'm still drawing a blank. Who are they going to get?
yeah, yeah. I
Do
mean,
they try to? Uh, hey Jay Wright, do you want to come out of retirement and coach
no,
again?
I
Probably
don't
not,
think he
right?
will.
He
Right.
doesn't want to do this anymore.
He don't have to prove anything. He's a great
He has nothing
coach.
to prove, and does he want to deal with this landscape now?
Right.
These coaches from that era want to deal with this new NIL stuff.
Yeah.
Portal.
Right. Right. And I mean, I don't see it. I don't see him coming there. I don't. I mean, like I said, the people. Whoever sells himself sells to Kentucky the best and talks their way in will get that job. Patino did say I am a good fit for them. I don't. He said that in an interview, but I don't. And he blasted St. John's in the interview, from what I heard. So maybe that's a clue. But I mean, as to what he wants to do or what they want to do, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I saw an interview with Rick Pitino where he basically said this is like the worst time as a coach, and he basically trashed St. John's, but then he backtracks like, oh, I don't mean St. John's University, just this team right now,
okay.
so, but it's still, I mean, I think it could be seen as a little bit of a red flag. I mean, maybe, and again, what is his sentiment? Well, he left Kentucky to go to the NBA, right?
Yes, yes. Um, he went. Well, I know he was with the Celtics. Yeah, he went to the Celtics, and they thought they were going to get Timmy Duncan, and it didn't happen. And then that was a disaster. And then he ended up going to the Indiana Pacers for a while. And I know UCLA player Ty said he made that great shot they show every year at the NCAA tournament. It was one of the best shots ever. He said that he was a hard coach to deal with. He was tough, and I don't mean he was just. And it wasn't that he was mean tough, he was just a little out there, you know. So, but he was mean tough too at times. He's tough.
No,
He's good
he's
kid, but
built
he's
for
tough.
the college game. Yeah, Patino's tough.
Yeah, he's tough. Um, he's tough to play for, according to Tyus. But not every player likes a coach. Some
And I know he likes the area. He's into the horses, and
Mhm.
he does like that. So it wouldn't be jaw dropping to hear St. John's get poached or him choosing to leave. I mean, they again,
Yeah.
Kentucky has the money.
I hope they don't get poached, but we'll see.
We'll
Because I
see.
like their building. I do. I liked it a lot when I
I
watched
mean,
it.
St. John's has pretty much kind of always been a sleeping giant. I mean, they used to be a major power years and years ago.
Right.
They are who they're right there. They play in the Garden. I mean, they have potential to be a great program.
Mm.
Um, it just hasn't quite happened yet, and this is their best opportunity with Rick Pitino.
Right. Right.
What about Billy Donovan? Do you think he's in play at all for this?
Um,
He wants to go back to college coaching?
uh, I would have. I mean, unless he's getting such a great pay in the NBA, I would consider it. It's not easy coaching in the NBA anymore either. So these guys, they don't listen to you no more. And on the other hand, it's getting a little easier. I mean, how hard is the coach a guy tell him to stop behind the 3 point line and just chuck it? That's not hard, and that's all they do anymore. Um, if he really wants to develop and he's into teaching and obviously he is, he's a great coach. Then maybe he will go there. It's a great opportunity because they're a big name and they get a lot of players. So will he? I don't know. I don't know his situation in the NBA right now. I don't know if he likes the job. I don't know if he wants out. I don't know if he's getting along with the team or not. I don't know. But he's definitely somebody to consider. And if I'm Kentucky, I'd call him. I would.
Yeah,
And
I
say,
agree. I mean, you got to at least pick up the phone.
right, right,
You'd be
uh,
foolish not to.
right. He's a good choice. But you know why I'm leaning towards Donovan, or not Donovan, but Bruce Pearl, because he's a salesman and he can sell you that rattlesnake oil stuff, and he can even get players in. He's a lot like Calipari though. He has trouble coaching them. He's not very good.
That's
So
yeah, that's kind of how I see Bruce Pearl if he took the
right,
role. It's
right,
okay, it's here comes a new boss, same as the old boss.
right. I saw somebody on Twitter going, "Stop saying his name. I'm kicking my wall every time you say it." So everybody was like mentioning him that he could be the replacement. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well,
But
I mean, if I'm Auburn, I would want to keep him. I mean, Auburn's they have had regular season success. They went to the Final Four.
right,
They're doing good. They're having a good era with him. I just again, we know what his ceiling is now. It's not going to happen.
right. Um, yeah, Auburn ain't go. I mean, they lost to Yale. Are you kidding? With all due respect to Yale, Brown should have beat Yale to get in it. Brown
I,
was a
I
big
agree.
name.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yale got pummeled in the next game. Not even close. I mean, that should have
right.
been what Auburn did.
See, and you know what? That's the thing again about Cinderellas. Like they will literally knock a lot of teams out that would make for a better tournament if they didn't have to play them, because they can knock teams out that were pretty strong and maybe even the best. I mean, I've seen Kansas number one seed get knocked out. I've seen Virginia get knocked out, and then the next year they won it all. They were the only team to lose to a 16. But you can do that, but Cinderella's never winning at all. And all you Cinderella's doing is causing havoc with the other teams because they're denying us games we should be seeing when the ones are going to play the two. But the two lost, so we're not going to see that because some 14 team knocked them out or 13 team knocked them out when they shouldn't even have been in there in the first place. See, I don't like having all these teams in any sport, not just college basketball. I know it makes for excitement and all that, but in the end, the best teams still win. They call them blue bloods for a reason because they're winning. The NCAA likes it because it draws more interest and more money, but as far as Cinderella goes, but in the end, they also like when the stars win, the good teams. That makes them look great. They win. It's a win-win for them. Really, it is.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Cinderella, though, again, how much of a draw is Cinderella versus large fan bases tuned in for the major programs? I don't know what the numbers are when a major program with a huge fan base when they drop out. How much do those fans still follow? Probably a lot. Still, no matter what. I
Mm.
just don't know how much big of a draw a Cinderella ultimately is versus a conglomerate of high major teams. Okay, what Final Four is going to be a bigger draw, or maybe it doesn't matter. What's going to be a bigger draw though? Kentucky, UCLA, Duke, and UConn, or Loyola Chicago, St. Mary's,
San
um,
Diego,
NC State, and
Florida Atlantic.
Florida, something. It's
Right.
to me the major powers are going to be a bigger draw, but just because they're the
They're
more renowned teams. So
right.
I'd be curious what those numbers look like. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. Maybe Cinderella is the driving force of the tournament. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's the exciting part of the tournament because it's so embedded that like even when like if you go to a tournament game and the higher seed somehow starts falling behind early in the second half, the crowd that has no loyalty to the lower seeded team starts rooting for them to upset the better team. It's so ingrained in college basketball fans' minds now. It's like, oh, Cinderella has to win, even if they're both equal, even if it's an 8-9, we're going to root for the nine. Okay, that's how crazy it's gotten. But um, you know, it's but in the end, it's still the best team that win. So
Yeah,
usually,
exactly. At the end, the Final Four is mostly the best teams. So
right.
what about okay? So a couple names I'm seeing for the Kentucky potential Kentucky job: Tommy Lloyd from Arizona,
Huh.
T.J. Otzelberger from Iowa State, and Mark Pope from BYU.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on any of those guys?
The I question the Arizona coach because 2 years he's been there now, and they've got really good recruits and teams, and they really kind of stink at the end of the day. I mean, for they were losing games at home that they definitely shouldn't have lost, and then they went out and beat Duke and Duke places like but not that Duke's all that anymore, but still that's not easy to do to end their plays, and I question how good he is. He just let them lose to Clemson by chucking threes the whole game. He never adjusted. He never did anything. And I don't think he's ready for Kentucky. That's exactly why I hope they take him because I don't want them to win. So I hope they take him. The other two teams you mentioned, Utah coach Pope, he's pretty
So
good.
Mark Pope is with
Oh,
BYU, and
BYU.
T.J.
That's what I meant.
Otzelberger is with Iowa State.
Okay. Uh, that's right. BYU I actually liked. I like Pope. He's pretty good. Um, Maybe they could do that. I don't think they will because he's not a big enough name. You know, and the Iowa State coach, yeah. What did Iowa State do for us in our pool?
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing,
A
buddy.
whole lot of nothing. And I didn't believe in them. And Reese picked them. That's another reason I shouldn't have believed. And of course, the big picker picked them. My brother, who never gets one right, never
The
gets.
Arizona and Iowa State have proven enough times in these recent tournaments that
Yeah,
they don't go far.
no,
They get built up, they get hyped, they have good regular seasons, but they don't do damage in the tournament.
right. My brother still thinks the Orioles are going to
There's
beat
teams
the
like
Mets.
that. Look at Cincinnati. They don't even get in anymore now, but for the longest time they'd win their mid-major conference and then first, second round, first weekend gone every time.
I'm surprised Cronin hasn't tried for that job, and maybe he has.
To go back to
Maybe.
Cincinnati,
Well, no, Kentucky. That's not far. So he could, but I don't know if Kentucky will take him. I don't know. I know UCLA wouldn't mind if he left. I know that. But I don't know if Kentucky would have him.
yeah,
You know,
maybe 2 years ago they would have. I don't know about now.
no, I don't. You know what? Yeah, he's he doesn't coach offense. He has Ben Howland syndrome. They don't believe in offense. Ben's a good coach, but somebody forgot to tell him you're allowed to score more than 70 a game. And and that kind of held him down. And And you know what I don't like about these coaches? Um, Again, like you were talking about Murray, Luke. Um, you got to hire if you're not going to be very good on offense. If you're a one-dimensional coach, offense or defense, you need to hire someone who's a master at the other one because that'll make up the difference for your lack of being able to coach both sides of the ball. Same thing in football. Like, yeah, Purcell's was pretty good with the Giants, but the mastermind was the defensive guy, and that was Belichick. You have to know what to do. And I don't think Purcell's would, and he didn't. He didn't win anywhere else outside of the Giants. He did not. He took him far, but he didn't win. And you know what? And I question how good he really was. He was lucky against the Bills. He had no business being, I'm telling you. And but that being said, I've always believed in multiple coaches if one isn't good enough, if the head coach is not good enough. Cronin should have got an offensive genius, but he's too proud and too tough and too mean. He wants to run the whole show. Ben did the same thing. And I'm not just picking those two. There's a lot of coaches like that. They will not bend. And some, the strongest tree bends. That's what makes it a great tree. Yeah. They don't do that. And that to me is just, it hurts them. They think they're doing all that because they're so proud and they're in love with themselves. And but they're hurting themselves and the team. And then they wonder why they get fired a few years down the road, or people start hating them, you know. And that's why. I mean, it's just the way it goes. And I just think that you know that Hurley was smart enough. Not that Hurley can't coach, mind you, because his father taught him well. The Emperor taught you well. Vader taught you well. Ben taught you well. But um,
Yes,
he,
perfect analogy.
yeah, but he he was smart enough to hand some of the reins over to his assistants and who were capable. He literally got people that were capable. You have to check them out and make sure they're good. Just don't hire anybody. So, and he did. And I know you hate it. I know Tony, he didn't come on, but he said he was not going to mention UConn very much. We got to go easy on Rob today. But you
I'm
know,
glad he considered that before, even though he wasn't able to come on.
yeah, yeah,
Appreciate that, Tony, very much. Thank you.
yeah, yes. And I said, don't worry, I'm not gonna. I know how much Rob hates him. I know that they're like the sworn evil enemy from hell, maybe even farther south than that. But
Well, hopefully this is the end of the road for UConn because okay,
here's the good part.
Syracuse won the six overtime game and UConn has six titles, so I think they're good, right? They're good.
They're good for the next 3 billion years. They're
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
Right. Um, Now I do believe when I went, most of these guys are seniors. I know that Spencer's a grad student, so I believe that means he's out, which is good. We need to get rid of these guys, as good as they are, and as much as I respect them. They're not my favorite team. I'm still a fan at the end of the day. So, um, I do think you're going to see in the NBA similar because I think nobody's beating the Celtics. I did call they weren't going to lose 20 games, and their next win, all they can lose is 19, and I don't even think they're going to get that because they're just winning every night. Um, I did say that everybody has to have more than have 20 losses, and they've got it locked up. That did happen. I did say the Nets were going to lose 50 games, and they're two away. That with three to play. I think they're going to lose one of them. Let's just hope they can lose the last one and make me look good. But either way, they stink, which is good for my friend because I tease him all the time. He's a Nets fan. But I did. They are dominant. There's no doubt about it. They're dominant as my Bruins were last year in hockey, and they let me down. And I do want to talk to your friends about that because when we do the hockey show, I talked to them. They talked about Islanders and on the playoffs and everything back then. And I mentioned the Bruins, who were not that good yet. They were good, and I said, you know what? They don't have the money. They don't seem to care. I go, the coach's default on the GM and the owner. And all your friends looked at me and shook their head and went, "You're right." But they went from doing that to being the most dominant team on earth last year, only to choke in the first round with 1 minute to go in game 7. They were winning and lost the game. And I was so mad. They would have won. They would have beat every team that would have ended Las Vegas, I think, they won the championship last year. They would have beat them. They ended up playing Florida and they crushed them. The one team I did not want to play, and I'm going to tell them, was Florida going in. Because I remember going to play trivia, and my friend loves hockey, he loves the Rangers. And I said, it was last night of the year. And I go, who won the last game? He goes, I don't know, Bob. He goes, it's important. I needed your Islanders to win. Because if they had won, we would have played you. I wanted to play you. I did not want to play Florida. And you lost. And I'm like, no. Because Florida was like, they beat us 4 to 6 times during the year. Some crazy thing like that. And they were like the only team that beat us. We broke the record. Tony's still mad. We broke the all-time record. We broke the Canadians' record. He loves the Canadians. We clinched a month before, maybe a month and a half before the season ended. I went down to watch the clinching game. I drove to Philly to watch the game. I was so mad. The
That
thing about
President's
hockey, you
Cup,
don't know who's
I
going to
don't know.
win.
I don't know if you really want that President's Cup, Bob.
I know. You take that President's Cup, you can stick that in the trash compactor too. That thing's a piece of Yeah, I saw it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although I would counter that, perhaps it was destiny that the Bruins were going to lose in the first round, no matter who they played, especially the Islanders. Sorry, buddy. It
Oh,
just
thank you for justifying it.
we got to blame
Yeah.
something else besides the Islanders here.
Oh, that lady. You know what's made me mad? I'm at the game, and this lady in the upper deck, I can hear her. She was they're playing the Flyers. So she's like, "Oh, to serve you right. If you lose in the first round," I'm thinking to myself, somebody push this lady, will you? Knock her out of the top deck. And you know what? Her evil words came back to get me because they lost in the first round. I never forgot that. I'm like, are you kidding me? The
Well,
thing
what
about
might have been, but Bob, we got a bunch of good shows coming up, so I want
yeah,
to let's get the folks informed here that okay, we're going to have an NBA playoff preview show. We're
yes,
going to have an NHL playoff preview show.
mm-hmm.
We're going to have an opening slate Major League Baseball show, hopefully with a guest.
Right,
The NHL playoff show is going to have guests. Maybe we
mm-hmm.
can find someone for the NBA playoffs, Bob.
Okay,
And we're also going to have a guest for the review of the NFL draft. So there's a ton coming on online here, folks, with the sports show Bob Spino. So we need you to subscribe. We need you to like. We need you to spread the word because these guests are going to come on and we're going to keep this ball rolling. So with that, Bob, is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
no, I'm sorry, my brother couldn't make it. I really don't know what happened. Yeah, I want to get the Miami water spout on, the Dolphin fan. Reese, he loves them. He loves football, and he don't know what he's talking about or anything. But we'll get him. He's cool. No, he's good actually.
It'll make for a fun show. That's for
Oh,
sure.
it'll make for a fun show because he'll tell us how wrong we are. If anything against Miami Dolphins, he'll drive you so nuts you'll be starting to go, Miami ain't that good. He's that kind of guy. But he's fun. He's a good guy.
I'll just say this: Reese McDaniel's a great coach. Tua's a great quarterback. We
Right.
just have to make the right personnel changes, and we're
Right.
going to be fine.
You don't like your head coach. He wants him out, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
know. I don't get
I don't
it.
know how to reason with that. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know
look
how to
at
reason
the
with that
last
either.
2 years. I
You
mean,
had
we're
a
in the
great year
playoffs.
last year.
We
I
were
mean,
we had just didn't blow the stupid Titans game. We would have won the division.
yup. Yup.
It would that Bills game would have been academic. It wouldn't have
Yup.
mattered, win
It
or
wouldn't
lose.
matter.
But no. But anyways, that's a discussion for another time, my friend.
Yep.
So with that, folks, signing off for the sports show. Like, share, subscribe, please.
Please,
With Bob
please.
Spino. This is Rob. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. This is Bob. Have a nice night.